Okay, we're going to start. Thank you. Okay, that's whenever you're ready.
The following is the agenda for the regular Borough Council meeting of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, Mayor and Council Municipal Corporation in the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. on May 28, 2025, in the Municipal Building, 25 Lenox Avenue, Pompton Lakes, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act. The meeting will be open for public comments and shall be in accordance with the terms and conditions of the Borough Municipal Code and bylaws.
Please stand for a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bless this mayor and council as they deliberate on the best of Pompton Lakes. In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all, have requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here?
Council President Collador.
Here.
Councilman Cruz.
Here.
Councilman
here.
Councilwoman Kent.
Here.
And Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney David Rutenberg, our Borough Administrator Michael Correll.
Okay, thank you. Under presentations, we're going to start with something that's very important to our community and to the people you see in this room, which is our life-saving awards from our police officers. And I'm going to ask the chief to step up, maybe do a little explanation of what happened, and then we'll give out the awards.
We're going to be presenting life-saving awards to 6 members of our department. It involves 3 separate incidents, so I'm going to pull them up in order of incident. All very unique cases, but extremely proud of each and every officer that we had to work on these cases. And it's a rare occurrence that you actually get a life-saving award. It's amazing that we have so many. It's just a testament to the officers that we have here and what they do every day. So with further ado, I will start with the first one. So I'm going to call up Major, if you'd like to come up. And I'm just going to read you a brief synopsis of what it is, the call that he went on and what he did. On the night of 10/31/2024, Patrolman Biacco responded to 31 Laurel Ave in Wanacue to assist the officers on scene. It was reported that a vehicle had crashed into this home. Upon arrival, Patrolman Biacco met with Wanacue officers and Sergeant Carbone of the Wanacue PD. At that time, Sergeant Carbone was inside the home speaking with the resident that was there. It was determined that the resident had an active warrant for his arrest and was currently suicidal based on his actions and statements on scene. While speaking with Sergeant Carbone, the individual suddenly became uncooperative and ran into an upstairs room. Sergeant Carbone ran after him and Patrolman Biacco followed. When Sergeant Carbone and Patrolman Biacco met with the individual in the upstairs room, he suddenly ran to an open window and attempted to dive out of the window head first. He was halfway out the window. They were literally holding on to him and had to bring him back in. The window was located on the highest floor of the home. Sergeant Carbone and Patrolman Biacco sprang into action and successfully pulled him back to safety. So for that and his heroic actions on that day, he will be awarded the life-saving award. Thank you, sir. Next, I'm going to call up Officer Collins and Officer Eckers. On Thursday, 6/20/2024, while investigating a motor vehicle accident, Officer Collins and Officer Eckers exhibited exceptional professionalism and life-saving actions that directly contributed to the life-saving efforts of a local resident. During their investigation, a motorist involved in the accident displayed symptoms indicative of a medical emergency. He disclosed a recent history of mobility issues and reported a significant fall earlier that day. Despite showing no signs of alcoholic impairment, the individual's oxygen levels had previously dropped to 83, and he had visible injuries on his elbow and leg. The outside temperature was approximately 100 degrees, which made the risk even higher. While being assessed by BLS on scene, the individual's condition deteriorated rapidly. His legs gave out and he fell to the ground and became unresponsive and stopped breathing. Officer Collins and Eckers acted immediately by assisting BLS personnel in administrating life-saving measures, including chest compressions and providing rescue breaths using a bag valve mask. Thanks to their swift and coordinated effort, the individual began breathing again, was stabilized before being transported to Children's Memorial Hospital. Sir Eckers. Finally, I would like to call Sergeant Williams, Sergeant Yurga, and Dispatcher Jones. On the night of July 12, 2024, Dispatcher Jones received a 911 call from 300 Ringwood Ave in Pompton Lakes. The caller reported a 34-year-old male who was unresponsive but breathing. Dispatcher Jones recognized this as a dire situation. He immediately took action. He immediately dispatched patrol units and EMS and kept the caller on the line to give further instructions. The patient's breathing and condition worsened. Dispatcher Jones continued to act swiftly and advised the caller to make sure the patient was on the floor and to begin CPR. Dispatcher Jones then provided CPR instructions to the caller over the phone until officers arrived. Sergeant Williams and Sergeant Yurga also acted swiftly and recognized the situation. They checked the patient for a pulse and checked the fuse breathing. They found negative results and immediately began CPR. At one point, the patient experienced agonal breathing. However, a subsequent check for pulse was negative and CPR was continued by the sergeants. The Pompton Lakes First Aid Squad arrived on scene as the AED was attached to the patient. Due to the patient having a past history and given Narcan, 2 doses were administered to the patient by the sergeants. CPR was continued as the patient was attached to the Lucas CPR machine. The paramedics eventually arrived and assisted with the care of the patient. After several rounds of CPR, the patient eventually regained consciousness and sat up, and then he started answering questions and refused any more medical treatment. Life-saving award for Sergeant Williams. I think I dropped it.
Can we get this picture? That one?
Mom, I get one.
Can I just slide this
Yes,
temporarily?
just slide.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Thank you, Jeff. I just want to say, we forget sometimes what our officers do on a daily basis. Besides putting their life on their line every day when they go into work, they're going above and beyond, saving lives, helping people in the town, and that's what we're asking our officers to do. Right? Yes, they got to do their normal daily routines and their things, but when they go above and beyond, they deserve to be recognized. So a round of applause for all of them. Okay, I'm gonna let anybody who wants to leave get out now, or you can stay with us the whole night, and we'd love to have you. Oh, that's great. But, we might turn that, Liz, do we want to turn it or is to talk this way? I think we did.
I'm gonna turn it. I think we turned it the last one, right?
Oh, it's, yeah, it doesn't take much.
We'll just do that.
Everywhere we meet, where to go.
Okay, so next on the agenda is, we had one, Zoe Rivera from Lenox School was unable to make it to our last meeting to talk about her shade tree essay. So we've invited her back today to read her essay, so if she wants to come on up. Just, yeah, I'll help. There you go, right there.
Over here, honey.
Face the noise, take your time, put it right there, you're all good to go.
Hang on, Zoe. You can't close the door.
You've got to leave the door. You can't close the door.
You can't close the door. Hold on, Zoe. Don't start reading your essay till. Yeah, they're scared of Liz, so they'll take. She'll take.
Open Public Meetings Act. Okay, so go ahead. Now you go.
Dear Backyard Cherry Blossoms, thank you for being the tree I always read under and climb up. Your shade during the summertime is delightful, and I always take photographs of your stunning pink leaves. My brother and I always climb up your trunk, and we love to sit up in your branches. Sometimes when I'm alone, I read under your shade with your leaves falling around me, and the sound of birds chirping. It's very peaceful, unless my brother comes outside. You have watched my brother and I swing on our swing set, run around and play tag, swim in our pool, and just sit in the grass or in the in your shade. All the memories we have together are priceless, and I have enjoyed every second. Again, your leaves are stunning, and you are my absolute favorite tree. Thank you for all the great memories. Others should be grateful for trees because they are beneficial to the environment. They should be grateful for trees for several reasons. One of those reasons is that trees absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, improving air quality. Another reason trees are important to the environment is because they prevent soil erosion. The roots of trees help reduce the chance of floods and anchor the soil. A final reason why trees are important is because they provide habitats for several animals and plants, contributing to biodiversity and helping ecosystems. Your friend, Zoe Rivera.
Nice job. Take your essay with you. Want to say there? Want to say it? Guess that, you're out.
I mean, I don't hear those. You can talk about them sometime.
Okay. Next is up for our council vacancy. Liz, if you'd like to read the resolution.
I have to wait for the nomination.
What's that?
We have to wait.
Somebody has.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we have to have a nomination?
Yep.
Does somebody want to make a nomination?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Patrick Quinn.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Do you want me to do it as a resol?
Resolution, yeah, please. Yep.
Resolution 25, 2011, authorizing appointment of Patrick Quinn to serve on Borough Council to fill vacancy in accordance with municipal vacancy law.
Okay, Patrick, you're here, right? Would you like to come and get sworn in today, or? Okay, come on up. Oh, you got your own vote?
Okay.
What's that?
You need a roll call vote.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Motion
roll
and roll call.
Okay, I had a motion, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
this was made by-
Roll call, please.
Bobby, and then I seconded it.
Yep.
Right.
You know.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
No.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman Hinton.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Resolution passes.
Congratulations. Come on up, Patrick. Welcome aboard. Hey guys, how are you? You been holding the Bible before? Okay. Right down the Bible. Okay, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Patrick Quinn,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state.
and in this state.
Under the authority of the people,
Under the authority of the people,
I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of
perform all the duties of
councilman
councilman
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. You can go now, or you can leave it or not. You go on. Come on. Oh, yes.
Oh, boy.
We took his, made a coat rack.
Clearing it out. On everything we're doing now, today. We have on the vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
If he is comfortable doing so.
So Patrick, I'm going to let you know that by right, you can vote on anything like today, but maybe it depends on you if you don't have enough information to vote on something. So you don't have a real packet, but you have the agenda in front of you, and that's what we'll be talking about. Liz, his name will be added according to Dave on the, any votes.
The roll call.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah, on any
Yeah.
local votes.
Yeah, but you, if you're uncomfortable voting yea or nay, you may abstain.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comments.
So moved.
Councilman Denon, Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Here might be some.
Good evening, George Propose, 1104 Colfax Avenue. Same as what I was here for 2 weeks ago. I'd like to get an update. Anything progressing?
I'll answer at the end, yep.
When are we gonna hit the ground? You gonna answer that too, Your Honor?
Yep, I'm gonna try.
Okay, pardon?
I'm gonna try.
16 years, how long are we gonna play this game? I'm sure you're sick of it as I am. All right, let's hear what your answer is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Gardner Summit, 147 Summit Avenue, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. So the first thing I want to ask is, I read in the Agenda Center that we're going to have a shared service with Oakland for the DPW. But it sounded in the Agenda Center like Oakland was going to provide us services, but I've subsequently learned that we are going to take over, we might take over the garbage collection in Oakland. And so I wanted to know if we have the equipment, manpower, management skill to serve 2 times our current population with our DPW and another 60 miles of roads. And I hope someone can show the economics of the revenue versus increased expenses for this venture, and whether there's protections in the contract in case expenses escalate beyond what we think, because I understand it's for 5 years. So that's the first question I have about the shared services agreement. The second thing is, I come up here a lot and I say, why don't you enforce the rules in this town? I did notice that there's been less parking on Lincoln Avenue of commercial vehicles, but I still, as I go around, I see commercial vehicles parking overnight, I see abandoned cars parked on people's property, I see people parking on their lawns. It is a cheap way to make the town look a lot better if we could enforce our rules. I mean, one of the prime examples is at the corner of Lenox and Van Avenue, where people park along the side of the school property where it's clearly marked no parking. And it's turned that little grassy strip into a mud field. It would be much easier if we just planted some trees from the Shade Tree Commission along that strip so people wouldn't park there. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Ann Passanelli, 5 Lambert Street. Is there a way that we could do an ordinance requesting that or stating that on Lambert Street we can park on only one side of the street, or cars can park only on one side of the street? Last time or a few times back, I stated that there was a school bus that isn't really a school bus, it's privately owned, that parks on one side. Then you'll have someone come along without a thought process, putting it nicely, and they park almost on top of them on the other side of the street. And then no one can get out and no one can come in. And I've been constantly moaning on Pompton Day that we have to leave that open because it's a dead-end street, and if an ambulance or a fire truck had to get in there, it wouldn't be able to. Now, maybe in your mind you think there might be another way to get those trucks or vehicles in there. I don't know, but we can't figure it out. But the parking is horrible, so if the street is narrow, if there's only a way, I don't know what we have to do to get an ordinance, but do we have to get a petition, what do we do? To get there to only be parking on one side.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Councilman Hinton, Councilman Lennon, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Just by chance today, I did see the county out working on the drain in front of your house there, probably inspecting that to see what they can do, but I'm going to let Michael address where we are in the time frame.
Thank you. I have to reach out to our borough engineer for a final update on the matter. We've been, extremely short-staffed the past 2 weeks, but I will get an update.
All right, can you give me a date of when you'll reach back out to Mr. Popoff?
Tomorrow.
So you will reach out to Mr. Popoff tomorrow to explain what we're doing?
Yeah.
The time frame?
Yep.
Okay, so that's your answer. Mr. Senate, starting with the Oakland deal. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but they're supplying the costs, they're purchasing the garbage trucks, they're paying the cost of the employees, their pensions, their retirement. There will be no cost to the town that we're picking up. We are actually making money by doing that. We are making a sizable amount of money from picking up the garbage, and the other benefit we will get out of that, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong person over there. The other benefit we'll get out of that is after they're done with the garbage, those employees are ours and they come back to the town and we'll be doing work in the town. So the areas that have been neglected a little bit or hard to get people there, parks, grass cutting, ball fields, we'll have extra manpower, especially our landscaping crew, to address that. So there is no cost to the borough, and Michael, I'm going to let you touch that in any shape or form if you want to.
We can cover it later.
We'll cover that later. The parking situations you're bringing up, those are police matters. The council has no control over the police department. We can ask, we can request, and say, could you please do this? We cannot demand anything of the police department on what they do. I would suggest if you're very concerned about it, you write a letter to the chief, send an email to the chief and say, look, this is what I'm concerned about. And he will respond to you. We have no power to tell the police department to go ticket someone. We can suggest to them, hey, we've gotten complaints about cars parked here or parked there, but we can't make anybody write a ticket for anything. So that's where you have to go with that. You'll have to go to the police department. Ms. Tassinelli, I understand your complaint 100%, but we have a lot of roads in town that are tight, and I'll use Pine Street as one of them. When cars are parked on both sides of Pine Street, it is very difficult to get up and down those streets. Once we open that window of saying you can only park on one side, you're going to have every street asking to do the same thing. Saying that, if OEM, fire, police were to come to me and say, we have an issue getting down the street in an emergency, we'd have to address that. To date, no one has done that. I know OEM, fire, police during Pompton Day do look at the plan, that there is a plan of action for Pompton Day. If they feel there's a concern getting to those residents, they would address that. So we have to rely on our professionals, which are our police, fire, and OEM, to look at that. So I will bring it up to them again and mention it to them, especially on Pompton Day, because I know what you're talking about. We ask you to move the cars on Lambert if you want to get out, because it's difficult to get out during the day. That is a part of the problem. But the real concern for me would be emergency vehicles getting in, and if there is a concern with that, I will follow up on that. Okay? Okay. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes, May 14th. Closed session meeting minutes, May 14th.
Motion.
Councilman Lennon?
Second.
Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims. Authorization of bills and claims as listed below. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilman Lennon?
Second?
Councilman Kent?
Question on?
Sure.
Just had a question on other trust account,
Other trust.
and what is the affordable housing? $200.
Okay, Mike, you want to address the affordable housing as problem? I'm just talking about paperwork for that, or?
Yes, I'm trying to find what the councilman is referring to, but, in theory, we have an affordable housing trust fund, that's kind of sanctioned by the state. We charge our expenses related to our affordable housing obligation updates, our affordable housing administrative agent charges, which administer our affordable housing units. In the state of New Jersey, you can't charge more than 20% of your current trust fund balance, for expense-related items. So again, this is just the standard charge. This one is for our affordable housing administrative agent monthly charge, which again monitors our housing needs. So that should.
Any other trust account? Where it says other?
That's what we call trust. That account is under our trust accounts, and all of our trust accounts are called other trusts. So anything charged to a trust account would be under the criteria of other trusts.
Any questions?
8,863.53, it said?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I don't think I had motions. Can I have a motion? Did I have motions? Maybe I did.
Councilman Bennett, I heard that.
Bennett and Councilwoman Kent and Councilwoman Kent. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Consent agenda, anybody need anything removed?
Yes, 25204. I actually want to make a motion to table it to the next meeting. Can I do that now?
Well, what is the reason for tabling it?
I would like further discussion and further information. I also spoke with the superintendent of the DPW today to ask to run through some of the numbers on the information that was prepared for us, and by 4:15 today, he had still never seen any of the documents that we were reviewing, so he was not able to answer all of my questions. And after going back and forth for a bit, it was suggested that perhaps we table it so he has a chance to review what is being put in front of the council before it's approved. So I am not comfortable moving forward with, some of the financials didn't make sense on what we were given. So I'd like to table it so Dan can review everything, and then we can have further discussion.
Has Dan brought this to your
If I may,
attention?
the superintendent has fully reviewed the agreement. I sent him a final copy of the agreement, and I can forward that email to the governing body if you wish.
I spoke with him today, and he said he wasn't even familiar with some of the numbers I was running off because he had nothing in front of him and had never been given what we were looking at.
That's not true. With all due respect, I'm sorry. But he was part of our negotiation meetings.
And let me say,
I wasn't even
Dan,
aware of it being on the agenda tonight, and I had a few questions, and
It
there were
was-
some questions about the cost of the trucks, and he quoted a price per truck, which looks like it's lumped in for, you have the price that he said per truck as 2 trucks. So some of the numbers I read to him, there seemed to be a difference in opinion on how they should have been input.
so we had a long discussion on this in an open session, in a workshop. A lot of discussion on this, and all the questions at the time were answered. I did end the meeting by saying, does anybody have any other concerns? There were no other concerns. I also ended the meeting by saying, does everybody support this moving forward? So our administrator could work out an agreement with Oakland, and everybody did. So we've already done a workshop on this. The fact that you said you spoke to our Dan, which I will call him tomorrow, to find out what's going on, because he's the one that brought this to us. He's the one that brought all this information to us. So for him to say he doesn't have the information seems a little strange to me. So I'm going to question him on that, and I'm wondering why he's telling you that.
I'm still going to put my motion forward to request to table this so that we can fully review the information a little bit more clearly, and I can get another confirmation from our superintendent that he has, because he also indicated to me that there was some change in pricing on the trucks that he was made aware of as of yesterday, which would not be reflected in the information that we were provided with. He told me he sent that information to you.
It is incorporated in the financial agreement. The price has not changed. Dan and I were considering leasing versus purchasing the vehicles, and we were running into an issue with the purchasing because we would have to go out to bid for the vehicles. But since then, we have found a vendor that's on cooperative purchasing systems, which is the same price as if we were to lease them. The leasing terms had a higher interest rate than you would find from a bond, from bonding for the vehicles. And also, the cost from leasing compared to bonding, it's much cheaper to bond it because the cost is spread out over time and you have until 10 years to pay back for the bond. So, and I would just also note that in the agreement, you'll see an early termination clause in that if the Borough of Oakland was to terminate the agreement early, they'd be responsible for a yearly payment to recoup the funds for the vehicles. We had expressed some concerns with Oakland that, if they were to terminate this, we just bought all these new vehicles, why should the residents of Pompton Lakes have to pay for those? So we also negotiated that into the agreement.
I want to second that.
So I'm not comfortable with the superintendent that has advised me to perhaps table it so that he can look at what we're
Are you
looking
saying
at.
the superintendent told you to table this?
I'm also
Is that what you're
not
saying?
comfortable with thinking that the figure quoted on there was $363,000 with a parenthesis for 2 trucks when the superintendent indicated that that's per truck. I also had some additional questions as far as the fact that in conjunction with this, we're signing new shared service agreements for maintenance of DPW vehicles, and I'd like to see how that plays out. So I think there's a lot of things happening at once, and if we have the ability to have Dan come in and present this to us or review it and discuss it with the council so that we know that the individual in charge of the department that is overseeing and implementing this will thereby be responsible for acting on behalf of this shared service agreement for the next 5 years, I want to hear it from him.
Okay, so I'm asking a
This is
question.
5-year contract with some big
You
numbers.
mentioned on your first statement that Dan told you to table this?
He suggested that if we were not comfortable with the information provided, and being that he could not speak to it because he had not seen what was provided to us, that we should ask to have it tabled.
Because just so the council understands, the way this works is our administrator does the handling of our projects with the department head. We do not oversee line to line how things are done. That's the administrator's job to do that. If there's questions, of course, we would answer those questions, ask those questions. We had a workshop on this. Everyone asked their questions on it.
Yes,
We're asking our DPW to pick up full services for a whole nother borough. I would like to hear from my superintendent, who will be responsible for carrying this out, that everything is the way that he had thought it would be, and that we are good to move forward.
But you're using, I just want to reiterate, because we're going to bring Dan in, he's going to hopefully support what you're saying. If Dan says I didn't say those things, then we're going to have an issue. So
I'm not really sure what you're driving at. I'm sitting here in public on a recorded meeting, on a microphone, in front of council people, telling you I spoke with the superintendent today. I'm not changing my story, my motion stands. Do I have a second?
Okay, so we're still in discussion.
You do have a
Okay.
second.
I do have a
We're still in discussion. Michael has daily conversation with Dan about this. This is not something that Michael is not talking to him about.
Was I the only council person that corresponded with Dan today?
I think,
No, I did. I talked with Dan also.
Okay.
Well, I wish somebody would have told me, because I'm a liaison to DPW.
Right, this is not following the
I've had no
channels of how this is supposed to
I'm
be
a
done.
council president, I can reach out to any DPW.
As far as the channels, and you've mentioned the channels to me in a phone conversation that you called me the other day, we're voting on this. This is a project, a 5-year commitment in the millions of dollars. We have every right to talk to Dan, to iron out
Absolutely.
any kind of questions that we have.
But your liaison,
Let me finish.
your
Let
liaison
me-
has to know about that.
And I'm the council president, I can speak
Let
to
me
anyone I want.
finish. You said that we had a workshop, and we did, and you instructed our administrator to put together a package, and we all approved of that. Now the package, I received the package, and we all received the package on Friday. Now, I read the package, I had 29 questions on that package. A resident who knew about it gave me 3 more. That's 32 questions. I'm not going to vote on something tonight that I have 32 questions on. I would like to have Dan O'Rourke here to ask him the questions, to ask our administrator the questions. And if I adequately get answers to those questions that I'm satisfied, I have no problem voting yes for this.
So you didn't have these questions before during the workshop?
Well, I didn't get the package till Friday.
Wait, hold on.
He was working on that, you said, in our workshop. Then he worked on it. Now it was presented to us on Friday. Now, I investigated a little further. Oakland passed this on the 20th at their council meeting, Resolution 25-180.
Has nothing to do with us, right?
But I'm just saying, Oakland passed it before I even got a chance to review the package. And now you're asking me to vote yes on it when I have 29 questions plus 3 questions from a
And
resident.
I understand what you're saying, and if you have questions, we can answer those questions today. Those questions can be answered.
No, these are questions that Dan O'Rourke can answer.
It was also, some loose numbers were floated to me that perhaps there's going to be $1 million difference between what this is saving Oakland versus what this is bringing in. So I just would like to walk through how the negotiation was done, but I do want to table it, so.
Okay.
And I second.
Can I just ask just a handful of simple questions?
Sure.
And I think I'm just going to clarify from my perspective. From the workshop, and I know we discussed this, my perspective was this was going to be drafted and then reviewed before a vote, because I wanted to confirm that what we discussed verbally aligned with the documentation. That's me, cannot speak for the other council members. Secondly, in moving this, obviously tabling this to the next meeting, is something negative going to happen if we move this to the next meeting? Because I don't understand why everybody's getting in a ruffle for.
I'll let Michael address.
Okay, so that's next. And if there is no concern that this is gonna hurt the agreement or anything like that, I do not find a problem with being more knowledgeable about what's going on. I don't understand why everybody gets so upset about this.
No, I'll let Michael answer that, because there is some things tied.
Okay, if there is time, if there's a time limit to that, please express that to me. And,
That in and of itself is a problem. If we push this to the point where at the 11th hour, we don't have an opportunity to have any wiggle room because we've waited until it cannot. And by the way, I will tell you, I was very clear in telling Dan that I was going to move forward with tabling this. And at no point did he express to me at all that there was any sense of urgency, that this immediately had to be voted on tonight. And I don't like being put in that situation either.
and lastly, is it unorthodox to ask a superintendent, because I have yet to see it since I've been here, is it unusual to have a superintendent come in to provide his input and feedback on a project of this scale? Is it unusual? Has it never happened before?
So normally, the way the procedures would go is you would ask your questions to the administrator would reach out to the supervisor, get your questions answered, and answer. We don't normally bring in a supervisor to talk about it. If that's something everybody wants to do, we can do that, but the conversations usually go from administrator to supervisor.
Because I'm not happy right now in hearing that I got one story on one end and another story on another.
So Michael, why don't you address the time frame first?
Right, I could say that we could defer it to the next meeting if we need to. However, we do have procurement matters that we need to address, that was fully incorporated into the fee. I would just say that I wouldn't be comfortable moving forward with a fee if it all of a sudden changed, versus leasing, versus purchasing. If the price had changed, we would, of course, not move it for adoption. But after reviewing the prices again with the superintendent, we came to the realization that it's within what we proposed to Oakland. No further amendments were needed at this time, and, that's why we moved it. But again, of course, it can wait to the next
And that was
meeting.
with, and that was with Dan?
2 garbage trucks listed at $363,000, and he's telling me that that's not for 2, that's each. So that's already a discrepancy in a number.
But he's mistaken, because although the cost of 2 may be $650,000 according to the quote that we received, the cost in bonding that over 10 years is $72,625, which was originally incorporated into the financial analysis that was presented at the April 23rd workshop. So the price has not changed. And again, I wouldn't move it forward if the price dramatically increased. Of course, we want to make sure that we are receiving the correct amount of revenue and that all of our costs are increasing over the years. That way we can sustain salary increases, health benefit premium increases, et cetera, et cetera.
I just have a little bit of a concern with the fact that that information, what we are looking at, what we are voting on, was not shared with the superintendent.
I can personally forward you all an email where he reviewed, commented back, provided me changes with the agreement, and then I sent him the final agreement to look at.
And let me just mention, he's the one that brought this to us. He brought
Which
this.
he did not deny that.
He brought it to and the way it works, it goes to the committee first, the personnel committee. From the personnel committee, it gets moved to the council. We talked about it in what do you call it, workshop. And then from workshop, we gave instruction to our administrator to start working out the deal with Oakland. That's the process. If you're trying to change that process now, then we should have done that to the last meeting. We should have done that.
Well, this is, okay, so just to answer that, so I think in any given contract, when it's discussed verbally, and I'll say even a handshake, when a draft is performed of said discussion, that should be a review, and that's in any given contract. That's the only exception that I have. I'm firmly comfortable with a good portion of the details here, and I'm not here to block this. But I want you to understand that when we discuss this in workshop verbally, anything can change in a document, anything. And I read it today, but it's a short window, and I thought we were gonna have an opportunity to discuss that we're aligned with what we all did and discussed in that meeting. Not to have it now ready for vote. So that's the only exception that I have. Now, situation with Dan, it's easily cleared, right? It's easily cleared, and then I do not wanna get to he said, she said situation. I'm here for proof.
Right.
So please,
Well, Michael's saying he has emails, and I know
and that's all I want to see. If everything looks legit and everything aligns with the way it's supposed to be, we move forward. That's my perspective.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just do that. We don't need to drag this out. We already know what Mike needs to do.
So the motion was seconded. I need a roll call on the motion on the table.
Just to add one last thing, in the confusion of this, Mr. Semmett just asked about the situation. The mayor just told him that Oakland was buying the trucks. Oakland's not buying the trucks. We're buying the trucks, correct?
That's correct. We're
So there's
charging,
confusion just right here.
Well, let him finish. Go ahead.
we're charging a fee to Oakland per year, and
Correct.
and the items in that fee are to cover our costs to implement the
Which
program.
includes the
for
truck.
Oakland.
But we're buying the
So
trucks.
that's rolled up into
That
the
isn't
fee
what
that
the
we're
mayor
bringing
said
in.
to Mr.
That
Semmett.
sounded very clearly like they were taking ownership of purchasing the trucks, paying the salaries. You're talking about what we're taking in as revenue that's going to offset the costs of salaries, purchasing, equipment.
Absolutely, right.
maintenance. That's different. I'm sorry, but that's different.
And I'm sorry.
That's
we're-
different than saying Oakland is going out and buying the trucks. Oakland is paying the salaries. It's-
But I'm sorry, who is saying that?
that
The
was-
mayor.
Yeah, they're paying us the cost that we're recouping back from them for the cost of it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But anyway, if you want to, if you want to table it, we'll do a roll call, we'll table it. It just makes Michael work harder to get the time frame to work, because we don't have a lot of council meetings where he can order the stuff, and then we're gonna run into an issue. That's what's
I'm
gonna
okay with
happen.
working harder to make sure it's done right. And then the
Michael, are
best
you
interest of the
comfortable
borough.
with the June meeting that we could meet all the, okay.
Michael's
because
comfortable.
You're comfortable with the timeline that you would have the opportunity, if we're all in agreement here on the days, to order the equipment that you need to move forward with this project at our next meeting, by our next meeting?
Of course. And just to clarify, the governing body wishes for the superintendent to be at the June 11th meeting.
Okay, and yes, but for me, as long as there's proof, whether electronically or not, it shows his name, and I could tie that into what we discussed tonight. If he is available to attend, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, but you have electronic emails that confirm his knowledge of this agreement with the numbers that we have here, that he gave the thumbs up, that is good for me.
Okay.
All right, can I have a roll call, please?
This is,
To table.
a yes is to table it, just to be clear.
Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
No.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman Higgins.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent.
No.
Councilman Quinn.
Abstain.
Okay, so does anybody else need anything pulled out?
Yes. 25202. Questions on 25206 and 207?
Can I ask before we pull that out, have you spoken to the administrator about these things before?
No.
No, okay. Okay, Liz, pulling those.
Whereas the mayor and borough council of the borough of Pompton Lakes has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 25-01 through 25-2010. We're going to remove 202, 206, and 207.
And 204, yeah.
Previously tabled.
Yes. Okay, I could have a motion.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett? Need a second. Councilman Hinton? Hinton. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? 25-202, refund of fees.
Yeah, it was just a question on this one that, it said, I think it's the homeowner received a response from the arborist, and he stated that the tree is in the right of way. No one ever, for the last 12 years, I've been doing removals and prunings as a volunteer for the Shade Tree Commission. This is at 202 Lakeside Avenue. I was at that site twice to measure that tree, and that tree is a private property owner's tree. And I told the private property owner to that effect. In one of the applications, it says, is the tree in the right of way? And it's checked yes, and it's checked no, and it's circled, I think yes. Who made this determination? And why is this really on our agenda, a tree?
Because it's a bill.
Thank you, Councilman. So I appreciate your concerns, and our licensed certified tree expert went out to inspect this tree. So the resident came in with a tree removal application, looking for a private removal. Like we do with any tree removal application, we dispatched our licensed tree expert.
Right.
That professional went out to perform an inspection on whether or not the tree is dead, hazardous, or a viable tree. And if it's viable, they have to pay a payment in lieu of replacement, or they have to replace the trees. So our licensed tree expert determined that the tree was within the right-of-way, at which point we had to refund the fee to the resident, and in order to do a refund, the statutory requirement is a resolution of the governing body for anything over $25.
Does our forester have a copy of the tax map and know the borough right-of-ways?
He does, yes.
I measured that twice.
Well, he's our professional, and we hire professionals for reasons.
I
So
did it for 12 years.
I understand, but you're not a professional. We hire professionals.
Well, I'm going to say that he made a mistake.
Okay, well, I can only go by what the professionals tell me. That's the best I can tell you. So, Michael, are you saying you want to question his decision?
Obviously, I am.
Okay. Well, do you want him to question the forester, is what I'm asking.
I will go out there with Mr. Lentz and myself personally, yes, if I'm allowed to, Mr. Mayor. I guess, and I'll bring the liaison. She can come with us.
I'll be there.
And the three of us can measure that tree.
So you would need a motion to table.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
you make the motion, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against. Okay, so you'll set up an appointment with the parties
Yeah.
to address that.
Thank you.
So we're tabling that?
We're tabling 25-202 and 25-204, it's already been tabled.
No refund at this time.
And now 25-206.
I'm sorry, who made this motion?
Councilwoman Kent, Councilman Hinton, or Councilman Bennett.
Then,
Bennett?
Yeah, and then we did it all in favor.
Okay.
Where are we? 206, yes.
Approving in chapter 150, no, well, you want me to read it, or you just?
Go ahead, you can read.
1948 resolution pursuant to state statute providing the insertion of items of revenue in the 2025 budget for national opioid settlement, settlement allocation payment year 4.
You had a question?
just a question, the payment year 4 to who? Who does that go to? $3,510.67.
Thank you, Councilman. So this is part of the national opioid settlement, in which funds are dispersed to municipalities over the next 30 years as part of the national opioid settlement. So each year, we receive an allotment of funds from several different pharmaceutical companies. This one is from Janssen. This is year 4 of our payment. And again, we have a full schedule of all the payments that we receive from all these pharmaceutical companies. It amounts to about $35,000 a year. And we're looking to use those funds to offset expenses with our municipal alliance, our prevention coalition programs, use it as, extra revenue, extra grant funds. So this brings in the grant into our current year budget to provide for expenditures.
Okay, so the payment, year 4 is payment to who? Payment to
It's
us?
to the borough, yes.
To-
It's not a payment from us, it's a payment to us.
Oh,
It's a grant.
excellent.
Thank
you.
That's it? Okay.
07.
You on, did you do 07 too? Did you say this?
I think that's what
Yeah,
I
okay, so
said.
let's do 07 now.
We pulled that.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
Approving in Chapter 159, 1948, resolution pursuant to state statute providing the insertion of items of revenue in the 2025 budget for New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Clean Communities Program.
Question?
Under other expenses, 25,711.48. Is that, we're paying that out or it's coming back to us just like previous?
No, so a Chapter 159 resolution is a resolution that we have to do according to the Division of Local Government Services to take in any grant that was received after the municipal budget was adopted. We didn't anticipate this grant in the budget, so we have to do this resolution to take in the grant funds for this current fiscal year, at which point, for this specific program, our DPW has expenditures related to litter abatement and cleaning of the community in accordance with the DEP standards.
So it's money coming to us.
Money coming in.
I'm learning.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Liz, the ones that we pulled.
Roll call, it's just on 206.
6 and 207. Yeah, can I have a motion for 206 and 207?
Motion.
Council President
Second.
Baldori, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Final adoption ordinances.
These ordinances have been duly published. Ordinance 25-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 14, refuse and recycling and drives, general ordinances of the Borough of Pompton and amending the fee for the collection of titles.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 25-19. Motion. Councilman Bennett?
Second?
Councilwoman Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone like to address just this motion?
25-19,
25-19, yes.
I don't.
Ordinance.
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 Okay, no? Motion to close the public session on ordinance 25-19.
Motion.
Council
Second.
President Polidori, Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 25-19 for final adoption.
Motion.
Council
Second.
President Polidori, Councilman Cruz, roll call, please.
Councilman Polidori,
Yes.
Councilman Bennett,
Yes.
Councilman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilman Hinton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent,
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Abstain. Okay, ordinance 25-20.
An ordinance amending Chapter 11 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Pompton Lakes and amending insurance requirements for events and public collects.
Motion to open the meeting for public comment on ordinance 25-20. Motion. Councilman Bennett?
Second?
Was that Councilwoman Kent? Kent. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the audience like to address just this ordinance, 25-20? Seeing no one, motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 25-20.
Motion.
Council
Second.
President Polidori, Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 25-20 for final adoption.
Motion.
Councilman Hinton,
Second?
Councilwoman Kent, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Polidori,
Yes.
Councilman Bennett,
Yes.
Councilman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilman Hinton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent,
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Abstain. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, on to my report, myself and along with a bunch of council people up here attended the Walk for Life run by our municipal alliance, but with Ryan Gossinger spearheading that along with a group. It was a great day, good weather. A lot of people showed up. I really love the fact that we had all walks of people coming in. We had high school kids and elementary school kids and seniors and everybody else walking for a good cause. They put a great event on, and it was nice to see everybody come out and support that event. I attended the zoning board meeting, which some of them I'm sure will report on, the planning board meeting, which I'm sure some of them will report on, the bid and the redevelopment meetings. I am going to report for recreation, which the new council person will be in charge of when we talk. But right now, I went to the meeting last night, just to throw it out there, they're reminding everybody that camp is open for sign-ups right now. Now is a good time to get in. We don't want to get in too late because they do close camps if the numbers get too high. So if you're interested in camp, reach out to the clerk here or to Karen Murphy, or you can go online through the rec department and sign up there. Our camp runs from July, I'm going to say 5th or 6th to the end of July. It's a 4-week camp from 9 to 12 at Hirschfield Park. They talked about the counselors they already got. They took a lot of applications from kids in town. We have about 20 counselors right now ready to go, so camp is ready to be moving on. They're in the process of talking about Pompton Day right now, our next Pompton Day. If anybody's interested and would like to help, please reach out to me, and I'll get you on the committee. They are looking for some more help there. I attended the Memorial Day Parade. Always a nice event, always a great time for our town. Bob McGrady and VS Post 2906, they do a great job putting that together. I have to thank the Marine Corps for always showing up, the bands, all the groups that are involved. There's a lot of time and energy that goes into putting that parade together. It was nice to see a lot of people out this year. The weather was nice. A lot of people out on the side streets enjoying the parade and then going down to the VFW after for a hot dog. It's one of the events that's been here going on in town for over 50 years, so it's always a nice event, and I'm glad that people come out and still support that. I can tell you other towns have gotten away from doing the parades and all those other things because, the people haven't been coming out to support it, so they've been doing maybe something like a gun salute or something like that. Here in Pompton, we're going to continue to do that, and I hope it goes on for the next 50 years. Our vets deserve that. And that is my report. Council President Polidori.
Thank you. First, I would like to welcome Patrick Quinn to the dais.
Thank you.
Thank you. There was a tremendously positive response to the veteran tribute banners that are now hanging along Wanacue Ave, 13 this year, for the 13 individuals that paid the ultimate sacrifice from Pompton Lake, so we thank them for that. It was really well received, and I did get a couple questions and some feedback based on when we will have the application window open for next year, and if we could perhaps put it on the borough website. So if you have some time over the next couple weeks, I'd like to sit with you or schedule a conference call with you and Bob McGrady just to walk through the final details on that. Because it seems like there's going to be good interest, and hopefully we can get all of Wanacue Ave covered next year. So I also attended the parade. Thank you to the VFW and Bob McGrady. They hosted a beautiful parade and a lovely lunch open to the whole community afterward. The Walk for Hope, Ryan Gosker and everyone that worked with him on that did an amazing job. Great turnout. We were allowed to have our dogs this year, so my puppy was very happy to walk with me. Hirschfield Park looks great. Michael, I did reach out to both Principals McCarthy and Renee. They will be participating in the contest. They have, I have the flyer we used from the last park, so I'm just going to update it with the new info, and they'll distribute it to the second grade class. And last, I'd like to make a motion. With Patrick being new, we are short one check signer, so I did reach out to our borough administrator, and I guess the formality on that is to request a motion be passed. I'd like to ask that I be put on as the alternate check signer for the every other month. And Patrick, if we're able to coordinate our schedules and you want to come in and do it with me, I can kind of show you how that works. So part of finance, there's a third member to that group that is not a member of finance and personnel, but is listed as a backup check signer, and they alternate months. It takes about an hour. We come in the afternoon and do it. So with not having any, look back on any of the bills, I don't think it would make sense to have you take that on right away. So I'd like to help you.
Well, he would be getting liaisonships with the person that was here, and that was one of them. So he would be.
I know. I'm going to make a motion to take that over.
Okay, but the motion you're making is taking something away from a position he has
already. And historically, we have always steered away from that responsibility being put on a brand new council person. It is actually not a liaisonship role. It is an alternate check signer. That individual is not a member of that committee.
Of what committee?
That individual is not a member of Finance and Personnel.
No, that's correct, but it's a liaison position to sign the bills.
It's not technically a liaisonship.
Dave,
She's
it's
the
not,
alternate.
it's not a liaison position?
I don't believe so, it's not.
Could we check that, please, and let me know? I'd like to
So, in
table
the
that till we know
meantime-
that.
I second that motion.
I mean, they still have to get signed.
We have two people that sign them now. So I'd
So
like to get
just
the
so that
answer.
everybody understands, there are two people that sign them, there's a third. This is a bit of a task, and I am willing to take it on and also train our new councilperson so that he's brought up to speed. It's not like, I'm looking to help.
I understand
So this
that, but I
should not
wanna
be
make
met
sure-
with any contentious.
I just want to make sure we're doing it legally, that this is not a liaisonship that would be appointed to the sitting seat that's empty. That's all I want to know.
So we can do that. But we have a motion, who are you
Second.
seconding?
Councilman Hinton.
So we have now a motion to table it. So is there a second to the motion to table it?
So this is,
Second.
okay.
So we have to do this in the proper order. So we're gonna take a vote on the motion, well, a discussion on the motion to table. Anything else to say on that?
Right, so all I'm asking is, if it is a liaisonship, I want to make sure that we're not taking something that he should be doing initially, even new or not. I want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, that's all.
I'm good with that.
So we're table, so we'll do a roll call then on the vote to table Council President Polidori's motion.
A roll call to table, okay.
Shouldn't we do her motion first?
No,
think
because
we're
there's a
tabling my
motion to
motion.
table. So the motion to table, otherwise it wouldn't be tabled.
Supersedes.
Who
So-
made the motion? I just wanna-
The mayor made the motion to table, Councilman Eck seconded the motion to table.
And now a roll call.
And a yes is to table.
A yes is to
And
table.
a no would be to.
Yep.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Power,
Sure, yes.
Councilman Bennett,
Yes.
Councilman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilman Hinton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent,
Yes.
Councilman Quinn.
Abstain.
I don't know if Gay voted.
Wisely done.
Yes. Okay.
So it's tabled until next
So you
one.
just
I'll
go get the
I'll
information.
confirm
Yes.
things
Okay, great.
with the mayor and the council.
Thank you.
And that is my report.
Thank you. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to the officers who received the life-saving award this evening. We certainly appreciate the work as well as the rest of the police department.
Good.
Walk of Hope, as mentioned previously, was very successful, thanks to all involved. Looking forward to next year. Lastly, thank you to all involved in making our Memorial Day Parade a success here in Pompton. Some of us got a chance to march in the Riverdale Memorial Day Parade as well. I did that as a band parent, and the kids sounded great on both days. RDA met, there were no applications, just approval of bills. And lastly, Girl Scout Camporee was a couple of weeks ago. It was another success. We did get rained out for a little bit, but it was still a fun weekend. And that's my report, Mayor.
Hey, thank you. Councilman Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, as mentioned before, the Walk for Hope was amazing. The day in itself, just the weather, was fantastic. I think we got stuck with a lot of pizza, if I'm not mistaken, right? There was a lot of pizza that day. I think you were giving away boxes by the end of the day. And definitely the Memorial Day Weekend Parade, weather again was absolutely fantastic. For those of you that have walked in the past, we've had 95 degrees, 90 degrees. Usually by the time we get to the VFW, everybody is pretty exhausted and quite red at the end of the day. But it was absolutely fantastic, and just for everybody that attended, thank you for coming out. I attended the Board of Adjustments meeting yesterday along with Mayor Sarah. It was a rather long meeting, surprisingly. They approved a set of bills. So we have Colliers Engineering and Design, professional services. This is broken out by professional services biweekly reports. Application 2409, that's 227 Hamburg Turnpike, and application 24-03, which is 430 Montclair Avenue, which came out to a total of $2,605.83 that was paid to Colliers Engineering and Design. For Marizzotti Falcon LLP, that's for legal services. Again, the following applications apply to the services they provided. This is application 2409, 2503, 2506, 2505 and 2507, and the total of that amount for said services is $1,668. Along with that, there was, I believe, 3 applications for the meeting. Application 2503, which is 430 Montclair Avenue. That is for a business property. BA 2505, that's for 60 Lenox Avenue, and that's for a residential property. And 25-07, and that as well as for a residential property. All those for variances that required approval from the Board of Adjustments. We had one resolution, Resolution 25-06, which was for Monette MCI Mechanical Incorporated, and that was approved. And that was it for my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Hinton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I want to welcome Patrick Quinn to our council and wish him all the best. Congrats to all our police officers and the awards that they were given. I attended a senior meeting. They're having a nice dinner at El Palazzo on June 12th. Also, on Wednesday the 21st, the replacement dock was put at the lake. And that following Sunday, I drove by, and there were people with chairs on there fishing, and residents are using it already. So I want to thank everybody involved in that. Memorial Day Parade was excellent. It was a great day at the VFW also. I want to thank everybody that participated. It was a nice walk. It was a nice day. I also attended the Board of Adjustment meeting last night as a citizen. 4:30 Montclair Ave came, and I got to ask 20 minutes of questions and witness Councilman Cruz doing his liaison job. He did an excellent job, excellent. I was just so...
I'll pay you later.
I was impressed. But I had questions, and I got all my answers, and I feel confident with that project moving forward. So, and that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to congratulate the police officers. They're very brave, and they're very daring, and they're very caring. So I think those awards were very well deserved. I also want to congratulate Zoe, since we didn't have the opportunity last time, and I want to thank the Shade Tree Commissioner, the chairwoman, Tassinelli, for coming tonight and just listening to the report. She's a lovely fifth grader, and we're lucky to have that program. I also want to thank the DPW, the Open Space Committee, our taxpayers, our DPW, and the Easy Dock folks for putting that dock in. That dock is very important to people in this town and outside of town, which is why we're being very careful about the insurance rates and having the proper information before anybody out of town uses our docks, which is why we upgraded our insurance. It's really beautiful, and if when you walked on the old dock, you wobbled, you felt kind of like a duck a little bit. But now on that one, you can walk right out there and you have no problem. So please go in and enjoy the new piece of equipment. Hirschfield Park Playground, again, installation is complete. We're just waiting for that one more piece of equipment. It's an animal, one of the, I believe it's a turtle. And we're still waiting for that. What is it? Turtle.
I said they're always slow, those turtles.
Oh, this one is. But once we have that, then we'll have a ribbon cutting. I understand the kids were very excited to be out there, so I'm looking forward to that. Mayor, I'm wondering if, when we do have a ribbon cutting, and it'll probably be very warm, could we have ice pops or something for the kids? Do we do that kind of thing?
If the school PTA would provide them, that would be great.
I will look into that. Thank you. And I do want to thank Mike Corelli and the DPW crews for, Mike did a lot of work with just being an instrument in trying to deal with all the different contractors, and the DPW crew for putting all the cushioning on the ground, because you have to have, I believe it's 12 inches of mulch, because we can't have any other kind of material down there, so the mulch takes a long time to do. And I want to thank everyone for being patient, and because that project is worth it. I attended the bid meeting, and the bid is interviewing for a manager type of person to run the bid. So I believe they're looking now into people that are coming in for interviews, and I guess hopefully we'll hear next month who they select. I've had a number of complaints on Twin Lakes regarding, I guess there's a lot of growth from the rain and vegetation. My understanding, and this is something, Councilman, you'll be dealing with, I guess, for the EPC, there will be an inspection and treatment tomorrow.
Correct.
So just so everybody knows.
The correspondence came back today, so.
Oh, yeah,
it's tomorrow,
yeah, but I wanted to report that because
Yep.
I know Lisa, she was in charge of that, so that will be yours. I also enjoyed the Walk for Hope very much last 2 Sundays ago. The information on mental health, it is a tough topic, and I think it made it very, very open to anybody who had a question on that. I want to thank Ryan Gossinger, or the Goose, as I call him. I think the treats and the water was perfect. They had apples for everyone. The walk wasn't too far and it wasn't too short, so anyone of any age or any abilities could really attend and walk for this project, and they did a great job. I also want to thank Steve Begg, Danny Black, Dr. Pespolinski, Santa Club, Police or Fire, OEM, and the Pump Lake Women Club for coming out and supporting them in groups. And there were a couple others, I don't have their names, but I want to thank everybody who came. I also signed the bills. I also want to comment that I think the VFW did a beautiful job with the banners, and the DPW did a beautiful job with the flower pots, and I believe that's a bid project as well. I want to offer Patrick, if you need help with the Flood Advisory Board, because we'll be probably taking that one on. That's a very important board to this town because we do have a lot of rain right now. The reservoirs are high. I know that there's a lot of information that goes through the Flood Advisory Board. Our OEM coordinator is usually there, Evangelista. But if it's a very technical group. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to sit with you. Just let me know. Okay. And I guess my last comment is, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm not happy hearing the discussion between Council President Polidori and the DPW person, Dan O'Rourke, and then Mike Corelli. None of those conversations jived. And that we should have a firm handle. And I look very closely to you, Michael, because you're the administrator and you're the one that's running the numbers. And you're the ones putting out all the emails. And you're the one that's really kind of in charge of this project. I mean, absolutely, DPW has absolute say. I agree with that. It's a big project. It is not a little, itty bitty thing going on here. We had the mayor of Oakland at our, just so everybody knows, we had the mayor of Oakland at our last workshop meeting, and he spoke. It seemed to me, and that's just my opinion, it seemed that this was pretty much of the opinion that this was something that would work financially. Because financially, if it doesn't work, forget about it. We're in trouble. So it seemed that that was all taken care of. So I don't know why this happened tonight. But I want an answer by next meeting. Because we can't be fooling around with towns in Bergen County and Passaic County, and people's garbage is like really important, and it's really important to me, and I don't want this to fall by the wayside. I don't want us to miss important deadlines in purchasing of crucial equipment, regardless of who's supposed to pay for it. That should all have been decided. I thought it was. I thought it was Oakland who was going to do the purchasing. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I thought. So I'm not happy that that happened. That's happened tonight, and I want an answer by the next meeting. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Quinn, I'm going to let you say anything you'd like to say. You don't have to give a report. Just welcome and.
I would just like to thank Council President Polidori, Councilman Cruz, and Councilman Hinton for their votes for me, thank you very much, and I look forward to doing some hard work for the residents of Pompton Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney's report.
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Please note that last week I met with our borough arborist and representatives of the Business Improvement District to address some tree pruning issues in our downtown. So we did get a report. I'm going to share it with the governing body tomorrow. Take a look at it. There's some suggestions on tree replacements, tree pruning, and we can collectively discuss it and think about what we want to do.
And this is the tree in front of Mrs. Tassinelli's shop, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Discussions took place that, you know, the bid would be willing to pick up some of those costs, so they are involved in this, but we'll report back on the matter at a future meeting. Again, the Hirschfield Park Playground is complete. The rubber surface was installed last week around the merry-go-round, has since been completed and opened for the public, and we have submitted for grant reimbursement to the Passaic County Open Space Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund in the amount of $205,000 even for reimbursement. So we're looking forward to receiving that funding in the coming months. So that was a good project, and thank you again to all involved. Please note that we are accepting public bids on the Willow Field Improvements Project on Thursday, June 5th at 11 a.m. here at the Borough Hall. Again, we're hoping for more competitive price bids this time around, and we'll report back to the governing body. After receiving some questions and monitoring social media about Twin Lake complaints, please note that I contacted Aquaclear LLC today. They confirmed with me that they will be inspecting and treating Twin Lake tomorrow, Thursday, May 29th, along with regularly scheduled treatments throughout the summer. And again, I'll continue to forward those service reports to you as we receive them.
Which they haven't started yet, correct?
They performed one inspection to date.
Inspection, okay.
Right. Please note that our security camera project with Mind's Eye Technologies has been completed. The borough's contractor is addressing punch list items along with final connections to JCP&L utility poles. The new screens have been installed in our police dispatch center, and if anyone's interested in seeing the project, you're welcome to visit the dispatch. They can show you the cameras. It turned out to be a nice project, so we're happy about that. As discussed at the last meeting, the Dawes Highway Improvements Project, which consists of the resurfacing of Dawes Highway, is on schedule for June 9th. We did experience some rain delays in the past 3 weeks, so we're looking forward to getting that on the ground in the next few weeks. And again, I just wanted to remind residents of a change in our recycling schedule. Some of you, if not all of you, should have received postcards sometime in the last 2 weeks from the borough. Effective July 30th, 2025, there will no longer be a gap in service for the residents, and no longer a fifth free Wednesday, as we called it. We're going to have a continuous bi-weekly collection for paper and commingled recycling. So again, we're looking forward to that. That change will be incorporated into the borough calendar that comes out at the end of the month, and we have provided updates on social media for the residents. So thank you, Mayor.
Just one thing to follow up on, because I'm getting a lot of calls on it. Verizon is working in our town, but they're putting up fiber optics, is that correct? Verizon is not coming to town to challenge Cablevision, the way I understand it, but have you heard anything on that?
I have not, but I could ask.
Let's find out, because Verizon, if you've seen, the police have been out with Verizon, do I understand it, they're just running fiber optic lines for high speed, I think, but that's it. But we'll get more information on that, because I know residents are asking. Any question? Go ahead.
Michael, you were going to mention about the primary election day being switched from the calendar.
I could bring it up. Councilman Hinton asked me about the primary election. The fact that it states June 3rd is the date in our borough calendar that's mailed to the residents. I reminded Councilman Hinton that on December 21st, 2024, Governor Murphy signed into law legislation moving the primary election from June 3rd to June 10th due to some sort of holiday conflict. So we're going to provide an update on social media and on our website to just further inform the residents that the date on the calendar is incorrect and that the new date is June 10th according to the legislation.
Thank you.
Do you want to mention the money we got today, the 150?
Thank you, Mayor. For the public, we did receive a grant award today. The Passaic County Open Space Trust Fund did promulgate awards. We did receive an award of $150,000 for the Pompton Lakes Library Phase 2 Exterior Upgrades Project. That brings our total grants to date of $750,000 to refurbish the facade of the Pompton Lakes Library. We are in communication with our federal representatives. We're working on an environmental review that is required as part of the grant, and we're hoping to go out to bid in the near future.
So that is from the county's open space funding. They collect their own percentage off our tax dollars, so we get some money back. So we got $150,000 for the library from the county.
That's excellent news, excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the administrator? No? Okay.
Yes, I do have a question. A resident brought up a fact that in the pond hole for the CJM building, that they're taking up 10 parking spaces with the storage of their materials. Are they paying for those parking spaces, or?
That was an agreement worked out with the building department and the building.
So they're not paying for those spaces?
I do not think they're paying, but it should be short term. It's only for the framing, and then they remove it.
Well, the framing is taking weeks.
That's they asked for us to help, and the building department said they could help.
Thank you.
Okay, workshop, solar kit.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry.
No.
As discussed at the May 14th, 2025 council meeting, we were discussing the NJ Transit Solar Kit program, again, which is to provide solar light retrofit kits to all of our bus shelters in town. Initially, the NJ Transit reached out with 2 locations of Laura Street, north and southbound on Wanacue Ave. I did reach out following our discussions at the last meeting. NJ Transit did confirm that our only other and third location at Wanacue Ave by the Pompton Lakes Library has too much tree canopy, so it cannot sustain a solar kit at this time. So again, the recommendation from NJ Transit is to move forward with the 2 solar kits, and then I did reach out pending the public comment that was made, and NJ Transit has committed to replacing all 3 of our shelters at no cost to the borough. So again, we'll be upgrading the 3 shelters. The 2 at Laura Street and Wanacue Ave will have new solar kits. And really tonight, I'm looking for your consent to move forward with the solar kit agreement that has to be sent back to NJ Transit. So if there's any questions or concerns, let me know. Otherwise, I'm looking to send that in.
Any issues with the solar kit?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may make a suggestion for the next 2 items, I would suggest that since the Superintendent of Public Works is coming to the next council meeting, perhaps it would be a better time to discuss the mechanical services with him here. I could foresee us discussing it, and then questions arise, and, you know, if he's coming to the next meeting, it might be best to just bring it up at that point, but I defer to the...
Any problems with that?
Can we separate it so that we can have the discussion about the Oakland and then address all the questions with this? And do you have any information you can send us ahead of time for what these new shared service agreements and arrangements are going to be? Not shared service agreements, arrangements are going to be with the new companies?
Of course. Yep, everything was included in your packets. I'll forward it again, but it might just be best if he's here to address, we could all address the questions together. It's really about his fleet and his department. Although I can do it, it might just be best. So, thank you.
Just a quick question. What is the Borough of Bloomingdale blue collar contract? Do you know what that is?
I'm sorry?
Borough of Bloomingdale blue collar contract.
Where are you reading it from?
The paperwork, underlined.
Yes, that's their union agreement they have with their employees. So that clause has to do with their employees and rates regarding their employees in accordance with their union agreement. But if we may defer it to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I forgot to mention in my report, something a little bit important, 2 things actually. I had a meeting with the county last week and the parties involved with the cleaners and the developer who's building the property at the gas station. And an agreement was worked out between all the parties to get them 2 parking spots at the cleaners, in front of the cleaners for the house there, for the parents that live upstairs. So that was an agreement made between...
Which cleaner? I'm thinking Roth Cleaners, no.
No, cleaner across from Starbucks, where the old gas station is.
Salvatore.
Oh,
Salvatore.
Salvatore, okay.
So there was some back and forth about, he didn't really have any spots, and,
Okay.
between all the parties, it was a nice meeting. They were able to get them 2 spots in the front, which I think everybody's happy with, including the property owners. So it worked out well. While I was in that meeting, I begged or asked for the county to pave our recycling center while they're paving the new areas that they're building, and they said they would pave it at no cost to us, our recycling center existing as it is now. So in the next month or 2, that will all be paved, and it'll be a much better place to go in and out. If I was there today, the ruts in the ground are crazy bad. So I have to thank the county for doing that. They're taking it upon themselves to pave that. Just for everybody's concern, if anybody's watching all the building that's going on there, there's going to be a 1 entrance in, 1 entrance out into the recycling center, so the route is going to change. Now you go in and you make a U-turn and you come out. You'll come in through the regular gate, and you're going to go out a different road through the back of the new building, so there won't be any traffic coming back and forth. It'll be a big improvement, it'll be paved, it'll look much nicer, so that's a big improvement. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
Motion.
Councilman Brennan.
Second.
Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address?
Okay.
Wait,
hold on. Gardner Summit, 147 Summit Avenue, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Now, getting back to the parking for a second. The parking on the street is the province of the police. The parking on people's property is code enforcement. So to say that you can't do anything about all the complaints that I've told you is actually not true. You guys, through the administrator, can tell tell code enforcement to go out and look to see oversized vehicles parking on property, people parking on their lawns, people making driveways that are actually not to code, that people just throw down some gravel and decide that they want to park on their front lawn. So, I'd like to see, when I come back next week, or 2 weeks, to see that there's been some action where the code enforcement official goes out and takes a look. And he can't just look during the day, because the commercial vehicles don't park overnight on people's property, until oversized commercial vehicles, until the evening. So somebody has to go out and look in the evening, and then decide whether they want to issue violations or warnings to get people to stop doing that. And then with regard to the shared services agreement in Oakland, will the shared services agreement be available for public review prior to the next meeting, so we can actually understand the economics, who's paying for what, how much revenue is expected, what are the expenses, what are the obligations? Because I think the public would like to know what the deal is, because you said, oh, we're going to make money, but who can tell if we're going to make any money, other than, it's reporting, oh yeah, we're going to make money. I would like to see the actual numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
Walter, 120 Romaine Ave. 2 things. Beck knows this because he was at our meeting last night. Historic Commission. I see there's a schedule out now for the replacement of the Dawes Highway Bridge. There's a plaque on there that our chairperson sent a note to the county. When they demolished that, we want to save that plaque. Just a question out of curiosity. We all call it the Dawes Highway Bridge. Does anybody know the real name?
I do not.
The Barn Bridge.
It's the Colfax Bridge. If you on the Wayne side, all the way to you're coming from Pompton, you cross over to the Wayne side. On the left-hand side is the plaque down in the corner. I didn't know what it was called either. It's called the Colfax Bridge, but we want that plaque, so I'm going to say that. The other question I have, the other point I want to make is, with all the building that's going on, what are we doing with what used to be Cho Cleaners next to the movie theater? That has been there for how long? Forever. I just wonder what our plans are to do something about it. It's an eyesore and it's been there. I believe from what I've heard, it's been contaminated with perchloroethylene, which is a cleaning solvent, but something's got to be done. I mean, it's been sitting there, as you all know, forever, so I'm just curious what the plans are for that, if any.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please step up.
She's tired.
Then that means you can't talk. If you're stuck, you can't talk.
She was trying to tell you something. Oh, boy.
Okay, I have a few things. Anna Tessinelli from 5 Lambert Street. A primary day, can you have a 911 go out for a primary day to let people know that that is incorrect? They should know if they get mail-in ballots or if they get a ballot, but I don't know. Primary day is not a very well-attended event, so it might help. In defense of Gardner, it is very unsightly. As a realtor, it could be a value thing, having, people coming into Pompton Lakes to look to purchase properties and seeing cars in places that they really shouldn't be. I understand there's two sides to this, but that is one. I want to thank Dan O'Rourke. I had asked him as a representative of the Shade Tree Commission to take down a small tree on Riverdale Road, and it was not something we would have to pay Downs or anyone for. He came out and took it, and then they left the stump, and it was in an area where it was in the grass, but where people would walk because there's no sidewalks all along there. And I asked him to go back and get it down further so it wouldn't be a tripping hazard, and he did that with no problem. I personally thanked him, and he was very cordial in saying that he had no problem. On the point about the parking on the streets, you said that, Mayor Sarah, you said that, Pine Street is a narrow street, so they could easily say that they also wanted one-side parking. But it's not a dead-end street. Lambert is a dead-end street. And, what's going to happen when a situation, luckily none has happened, luckily there are not that many people that live on that street, the two on the corner have another access. What happens when something unfortunate does happen and they can't make it? Then we do what we've asked you to do. As in the saying, when the horse runs away, we lock the barn. So I'd really like you to give some serious consideration to this. Mr. Cruz, I'd like to thank you. You brought to our attention that Zoe Rivera wanted to come and read her essay. We were not made aware of that, and Maddie, our Arbor Day planner, went to the school 2 days later to bring the gift, the certificate from the council and the certificate from the Shade Tree Commission, and nothing was ever said to her. And I did introduce myself to the mom tonight, and she said she was never made aware of that event date. And I said, I don't understand why. It was your principal who Maddie interacts with, and so I don't know where the glitch was, but thank you, because she was pleased that she was able to come, and thank you, Mayor, Maria, and Michael for interacting with me. Oh, and I think this is the last thing. What about the salon parking over by the cleaners, over by Sujan's new project? You said they have 2 parking spaces they're giving them? So there's a cleaners and a salon. I mean, I don't know if the salon came to you and said anything, but 2 parking spaces? It's 2 businesses. That's all they're getting?
Oh, I'll address it later.
Okay. And last but not least, when you answered that question before about Oakland, and I didn't know a whole lot about this, only a little bit from the last meeting that I was here, I did understand that Oakland was buying everything. So it was a little bit of, am I saying that right?
I don't know.
I understood, yeah, because it's mixing me up. I understood that Oakland was buying, not that we were buying and Oakland was then reciprocating in funding. Okay, so it was a little bit of a misunderstanding. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like, please step up.
Am I heard?
Good evening, Evan Lister, Ringwood Court, Pompton Lakes. I too was confused by resolution number 24-5-204. And forgive me for reading this, but this is what confused me. The title is Resolution Authorizing the Execution and Renewal of a Shared Service Agreement with the Borough of Oakland for the provision of solid waste recycling and vegetative waste collection services. And it goes on to say, whereas the Borough of Oakland has agreed to provide solid waste recycling and vegetative waste collection services to the Borough of Pompton Lakes by way of a shared service agreement as permitted by New Jersey SA 40-whatever. That's what confused me, because I was at the meeting when the mayor was here from Oakland, and it was quite explicit that we were going to buy 2 trucks, I believe. Okay, they were going to buy containers to be used in Oakland, and then we were going to have to hire 9 employees for our DPW. Okay, and then whatever the financial dealings were was one thing. And this is another thing that perplexes me. It says in number 2, a copy of the agreement shall be filed with the borough clerk and shall be open for public inspection at the Borough Hall building upon adoption of this resolution. Why would I want to see this piece of paperwork after the adoption of the resolution? I would like to see it before the adoption of the resolution. So then if anybody has comments or questions about it, they can follow through on it. So there's some confusion. I don't know if there's an error in the way this is worded, but it's certainly not what I heard at the last council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
David Farnick, 107 Federal Hill Road. The first, Scott, with you being here, the Board of Ed normally gives us 3 minutes.
Dave, just face this way. Talk this way.
They get 5 here, so if Jared's watching this, I'm going over my Board of Ed limit. As I mentioned to all of you a couple months ago when I was here, but I didn't know Patrick was joining, so welcome.
Thank you.
And just to fill you in on what I told all the rest last time I was here, I'm on the Friends of the Library, and which I was given word on June 19th is the 3M ban on the library lawn. So that'll be the first concert. But I saw Valerie at the VFW, but she said she hasn't gotten the full schedule yet, so I'll touch base with her every now and then on when the rest of the concerts are going to be. And also, I think I mentioned to you, and I mentioned to Scott and the Board of Ed that the library is looking into updating the library cards, since the current ones we have now, which I was surprised to hear, are like 10 years old. So So as I told Scott and the Board of Ed, that they're looking into having the kids in all the schools, Lenox, Lincoln, Lakeside, in the high school, to draw ideas of what the new cards can look like. So it's going to be more or less of a contest, in other words, than library board will pick out what they like, what the new picture will be. So, yeah, then, and what else was there? Yeah, and I came from Hirschfield as I came here, so the high school baseball's done for the season, and we lost in the States at Crushville yesterday. So the high school baseball's done, and still a few sports left to go, and then speaking of high school, yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. As I told you guys, and which Patrick, I know you don't know this yet, but for anyone that knows of anybody that has businesses that wants to sponsor the Booster Club, which I'm also on as well too, and she can get in touch with Justin and Nicole Jones at the high school to let them know if you want to sponsor a banner, then they'll give you all the information. So they're trying to fill up banners at all the sports fields around town, and
Okay, Dave, your 5 minutes is up, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
And Independence Field, that's what I'm thinking.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Councilman Hinton, Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Mr. Senate, I've told you this before, we are a part-time inspection group. We are reactive, not proactive. We are not out driving around looking for items, especially at night. He only works 3 hours a day, and a lot of that time is spent in inspections. Obviously, if someone was to call him and say, hey, there's a car on a driveway, or that driveway doesn't look right, he would go look out and take a look for it, but he is not driving around town looking for issues. To do that, we would have to have a full-time person to do that, because the work that he has alone for inspections within the borough takes up most of his time. So that's where the issue lies with what you're asking, and I've mentioned that to you before. So if you have problems in streets, just call the building department and say, hey, look, I want someone to look at this house, and then they will go look at it. That's the only way it can be addressed. Paul, thank you for the history on Colfax, but yes, I got an email from the county today that they're going to pull off the plaque, keep it, save it, and then put it back on the bridge when they're all said and done. The cleaners is an unfortunate situation. The owners of that building have gone under. The family has washed the hands of the building. The EPA has taken control of the building. It is now a brownfield because there's contamination there. And unfortunately, brownfields could sit for a very long time. We're working hard with some people that have some interest in buying the property and maybe cleaning it up. But, you know, there's a cost involved with that, a large cost, and we got to see if they can do it. Unfortunately, and I hate to say this, that building could sit like that forever if no one's responsible, because the EPA just doesn't have the funds to come in and fix it. We don't have the funds to clean it up, and we're not going to take a dirty property. So we are not going to take control of the property because it is dirty. So that's an unfortunate situation. With the shade tree, thank you for giving me that information. I don't know why they didn't reach out to the girl. That's unfortunate. Thank you for just mentioning about Dan and the DPW. I'm glad he did a good job. I mentioned about the parking, with the same thing with Semet said, Garden Semet said. You had another question about the parking. I hear what you're saying, we can address it, I understand where you're coming from, because it is a small street, but it opens up a can of worms that sometimes is hard to control, but I'm not saying we won't address it, let me talk to the powers that be about how trucks get in and out, and how fire departments maneuver that, and the whole thing, and I'll get some answers on that, because at the end of the day, we have a lot of tight streets in town, and unfortunately, and I think you touched on this too, you have to have some respect for your neighbors when you're pulling in and parking. You know, you don't park in front of someone's driveway, you pull closer to the sidewalk than sticking out into the street. And 9 out of 10, when I'm driving, especially in the south end, there's people 3 feet off the curb, not really caring that they're sticking in the middle of the street, they just don't care. So maybe some people would spend a little more time caring, that would help in your problems and other problems. Al, I'm gonna let Mike address that, the header of that, the other thing I forgot to mention for Mr. Semet, we don't normally, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, give out the information before we're conversation on something, right? They can open that if they'd like, and then after the fact, we do put it out. Is that something standard, or am I missing that somewhere?
I would defer to the borough attorney.
There's no rule of thumb on that, but it's not a done document yet. And this is not something that you have a public referendum on. You know, this is a council matter, and if people are unhappy with the agreement, they will go to the ballot box in November. But as I said, there's really no rule of thumb. But I would say more often than not, this is something that the council, the agreement, until it's done with negotiations, is a council matter.
Okay, thank you. The header for that, it is a little confusing.
I'll consult with the borough clerk. I think it's an error.
You think it's an error?
Yes.
Okay, because it does sound a little confusing on that. David, thank you for all that information especially about the baseball team. I'm sorry that they lost, but they had a good run. Okay. Where am I? Privilege of the floor. Anybody have privilege of the floor?
Just 2 items, Mayor, that I just first want to thank you. I did speak to the mayor yesterday regarding the entrance to Pompton Square. The first entrance, right before Starbucks, during the river cleanup, we noticed obviously that a lot of the garbage that was there was all Wendy's and Starbucks. So I did speak to the mayor to see if the owners of that property can put a garbage can there, because I feel like that would mitigate a lot of the garbage that's going in there, and whether they put it at the top or the bottom, I think it'll be helpful, obviously, because there was a lot of garbage that we got out of there. Secondly, if you're taking Hamburg Turnpike and just shortly past Valley National Bank, we have that first bridge. Okay, so I went over there to take a look with Captain Rodriguez to take a look at rebar that was hanging from underneath the bridge. And there was a lot of damage underneath. I'm going to send you pictures, Mike, because I should have said it before, but I do have them. The rebar is hanging, and there's a lot of damage underneath. It's a very small bridge, but I just wanted, obviously, to bring it to the attention of Michael to reach out if that's a county road.
It is a county bridge. Yeah.
For them to take a look, and there is a lot of damage underneath, and it does have rebar that's hanging. My understanding, that's also quite the hangout as well.
Yep.
So obviously, we don't want anybody to be injured, by anything falling down from that. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Yeah, and we'll have to, and it's a county bridge, but they should take care of it.
Yeah.
Any other privilege of the floor? Just one, I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, for Ms. Tastanelli mentioned about the parking. The parking wasn't about the businesses, it was about the homeowners that live upstairs above the building for the last 40 years that are elderly. And they've been parking, I'm gonna say illegally, but with an agreement with the next door people, but now that building's gonna be built, so they had no parking. And there was no reason to make them have parking, but a nice conversation between county giving up some space they had, the developer giving up some space they had, giving them 2 spots for the elderly parents to park who live upstairs. It's not about the retail, okay?
Oh, by the way, what is the retail gonna do?
That's on them. Okay. Okay, so we're going into motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Council President Polidori, need a second. Second. Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
You got it. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Have a good night, everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had something else.
Just
one
I'm
second.
so
Wait, hold on.
I'm all.
Okay, in closed session, we talked about personnel and pending litigation. Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Count.